good. So here we are, quote unquote, episode 2 of the OG girls, Open G Center girls talking about human design, and our experience of it. The last couple of weeks, we have Anna. Hello, Anna. Say hi. Want to say hi?
Hi.
Like I'm
Yeah,
just going
Anna
home.
or Anna. It's not the first time. Like, yeah, I've been asked, and
Yeah.
both is fine. Both
Do you
is
prefer
fine.
Anna? Do you prefer Anna?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
It's both fine.
Just checking in.
That's the open G. That's the
Right,
open
right. Call
G.
me Raven, call me
Yeah.
Joan, whatever.
Yeah. That's me. I'm responding to that. Goes like
Uh-huh.
there are forms of the names I've been called in my life that I don't respond. I don't even hear when people call. Like, maybe if I'm called by my surname, I will not respond because my ear will not recognize it in the
Mhm.
moment. But and yeah, I
Uh-huh.
am there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I noticed similarly, since I guess we'll let you know what we're talking about when we sort it out. But Joan, like people do still use Joan. Um, but there's this flatness to it. Like my own being is not that responsive to it, if that makes sense. Like
Mm.
I hear it, I know they're talking to me.
Hmm.
And then when right now I'm doing a lot of official things, which that's still my official name. So, it's like in those situations, it's almost like, yeah, this is who's writing right now. But it's interesting. But OpenG,
Yeah.
flexible, with a preference for Raven. A
But
preference.
yeah, like my family they call me Anya.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when somebody calls me Anya, I definitely respond in a different way because it's like the little girl is like there is something about me that is softer part of me will be like, yeah, engaged, like a little childish nickname. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've used that. Do you like it when I've done that? Because I liked it when I used it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When my close friends use it, that's very relaxing for me. Exactly. Like Anna, it's a very official, solid name. And then when somebody calls me Anya, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm like in a friend zone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, so last time we talked about a lot about the Open G Center, and I have something I'd like to bring in with that, and then we've been back and forth by voice, almost like we could have just done a podcast with our back and forth about the open or undefined solar plexus and the emotions of others and confrontation and all sorts of stuff. So I think we'll talk about that today. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I mean, OpenG is an ongoing topic if somebody has an OpenG, and that's what happened last time when we looked at so many things. It felt like, okay, this is substantial, this is enough, and then we're like, we haven't even talked like correct people, correct places. Like there is so much stuff there, so
Mhm.
it's endless. Yeah, OpenG is an endless topic.
Mhm. Yeah, and I've been in a program with Marianne Winiger just for people who are generators, either with sacral authority or solar plexus authority. And so I'm being reminded of some very basic things that I have forgotten about. Like, I haven't personally been in an environment where this is how people operate. And so the very first invitation, which is how Marianne first approached her experiment, is, do you want to practice waiting? Do you want to practice saying nothing? Do you want to practice? And so I responded to that, like, yes, because I see the value of that. And it's amazing how much I don't do anymore. Like I've gotten out of the habit of being that way
Hmm.
in And I'm in environments, I mean, I'm in a home environment where talking is the norm. So, so it's been
Yeah,
interesting.
what you just said resonated with, because I'm listening to a lot of raw recordings recently because I'm just looking into something.
Mhm.
And he said one thing, that he said training the people for years, giving them more and more information, and then just it turns out that they forget the basics. So when you just throw the chart at them, like you throw a person at them, they lose sometimes the ability to see the very beginning, the very essential thing.
Mhm.
So this is as well for me, being in design for 10 years, and then sometimes looking at these essential things like response, again, the sacral. And first of all, when you see it after 10 years, you just see the profoundness of every single word that is there because you have lived it and experiment.
Mhm.
It is a big deal. And you are like, oh, there is so much value. Why, I keep looking here and there for more information and stuff. But this foundational thing, this is where the key, this is where the answer is. It's like always back to the aura, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh. And being open, we have open enveloping generator aura. It has no protection. So, moving towards things isn't necessarily safe for it. Like we don't know, but the idea is that the response, the actual, this was something that I'd gone away from, and I'm looking again. Is it healthy to go there? The sacral knows. This thing doesn't know. Is it healthy to confront? I mean, you and I have been talking about
yeah.
confronting and avoidance, and it is actually what protects our life force. And I just got into a situation with somebody that really hit me hard, and I see my part in it energetically.
Hmm.
Um, it was enough to perhaps shift to almost bring a friendship to an end. So I'm like what you have been sharing with me, and I don't know if you want to share some stuff too, is the wisdom of letting the emotions, even with especially and including with an undefined solar plexus, run through to clarity. And mostly, in the teaching of human design, we talk about that with people who have solar plexus authority is waiting for clarity, but there is something that happens energetically to us that you've been talking about, where before reacting, before speaking, before even deciding to speak, to
Yes.
let the emotions move through to this place of their,
Yeah.
would you like to say something about that for
Yeah.
your experience?
Yeah. This is something, as we have been communicating during this time. This is the new. I most probably lived through it and I've seen it inside of me, but maybe my mind wasn't able to observe it and like speak it out the way I see it now. So for me, I think emotions and feelings were also on the side of taboo because I'm open emotional and I just like, no, this is not exactly my zone. And other people deal with their emotions and they go through their feelings. And for me, I'm in that zone where I just don't want to feel it. I know that I don't want to feel it. And when there is too much stuff, too many emotions, and too many feelings, I just know that my defense system just um, mm, puts me on hold. Like, this is too much. This is too much. Let's just avoid it. Let's just not go there. Which is like okay because that's my defense system, and I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
But as what has happened to me now, like this is what I've seen when I allow this emotional situation and these feelings to go through me, because that's exactly what is happening. They're going through me. There's no way I can actually stop them.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're going through me, and I'm not reacting because sometimes the defense system snaps. So I'm not reacting. I just keep observing them. I see what is chemically happening to me, to my solar plexus. I observe all of that. But as I allow myself to see it and take in and let it go through me, and then see what happens when the peak passes, or this absorption already goes through, or when the filtering is done, to see what actually happens. So because maybe I became more patient with this process, I have arrived to a certain clarity. I have seen that there is a certain clarity about what to do with this situation, or how to be with it. Like, there is something I'm able to see in the end of this, because normally it's just like, I don't want to feel, I snap, I can even say, this is not my stuff, it doesn't belong to me. But I have been amazed, because I normally would tend to talk about clarity only to emotionally defined. And I have seen that actually, if I do nothing about it and I let my body go through it, there is something that I realize about how I feel about this situation, how it makes me feel, and what has happened and what has changed. And it looks like clarity to me at the end of this trip. And that has been of an immense value to me through my experiment, at least these past few months.
Yeah, and I think independently, yeah, because we were just talking about this specifically the last couple of weeks, I started to understand for myself that, because what I want to do immediately, and it's happened a couple of times, life has given me a couple of opportunities for me to perhaps react or respond or even initiate or push my energy a little bit. This is why I understand. This is really helping me to really understand. This is why we don't go out and doing that stuff, because we're the cost is right here. But like, no, don't reply now. Don't send a text. Let it, or an email, just let it roll through enough. And sometimes, like in this I mean, the previous time it happened, which was just 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna something to apologize for. Like, okay, I was inappropriate. This time I'm not clear. I mean, that's the other thing do I need to get back to this person? Because what the actual impact on me, and again, I did a little energetic push, and I know that's partly that's what happened. Where was I going?
Okay. Here.
Want to ask the question?
Yeah. So you said, I don't know if I have to get back to that person. So this is
Yeah.
where I think the response comes in,
Uh-huh.
because I think day by day, I think this is where, like, I also have situations where shit happened. Yeah. And
Shit
I will,
happens.
yes, shit happened.
We make
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe it's not, maybe to that person it doesn't appear to, but I feel some kind of energetical impact, and I feel a need maybe to talk about it with that person. Yeah. So I would wait. I will ask myself a question. I wake up and I'm like, am I ready to talk about it today? And on some days I get like, nah, not today. So like my energy is not ready, but I am already I already know that I would like to have this emotional, because it is going to be emotional, but I will check with my response. And sometimes life helps. You just get in front of a person, but I also know, even if I get in front of the person, I will respond. Am I going to touch this topic or another time? And I think, and this is where the defense system is good, because if the other person is emotional, there is a certain detector, like, are they okay? Like, am I sensing that they are okay? That I'm going to, this is what I feel, because sometimes you meet an emotional person and you're like, no, 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 we're not
And
this.
that's intelligence, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
intelligence.
Yeah, they're into something. You can see they're in the middle of something. You can see they're already
Uh-huh.
boiling with some other stuff. So you're like,
Mhm.
no, 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 we are not talking about this today. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And
In-
one of the things that, again, this is, I'm happy that I have, I'll call it beginner's approach. Like I don't feel like I've got it handled, which sometimes is really painful. But to the, because the mind will do things about that. But like all of this, as generators, it's about, for everybody actually, it's about our life force. It's not
yeah,
about anybody else's. And that's a tricky part, but it's also like, oh yeah, this life force,
getting
this one.
back, getting back to the energy, just getting like checking.
And
Yeah.
this,
Mhm.
yeah. So I want to share something with you. This came out too yesterday, and I was like, whoa. And I tried it this morning. So it was suggested that one could use Chat GPT and ask it to ask you yes, no questions.
Mhm.
So I did that this morning. I laid out the scenario and then I asked, would you ask me yes, no questions about this? And it comes up with 10 yes, no questions.
Mhm.
So it's something outside, not from the mind, because my mind didn't create those questions, right?
Yes.
And then I could look and respond to them, and I noticed my uh-huhs, my uh-uhs, and my mms,
Mhm.
like I don't know. So I did it, I went through a few cycles with that. So um
I don't
that's
know if
I guess we're
yeah.
talking about being generators right now.
Mhm.
If I want.
I don't know if there is some predisposition in design that helps to do that, but I actually do ask myself questions like
Mhm.
there is something that is about to happen today, and or a possibility of it to happen, or like somebody's calling and maybe they didn't like. I just see the call.
Mm,
I just
mm,
see the call, and I know like they're calling me about like going out, and I'll be like, do you want to go out? And I'm like, no. So then I
mhm,
will send a message and how does it feel if you go? And I'm like, no. Like
mhm.
I feel it from like I put
Uh-huh,
something in front of me. I don't know if I really do that with words or with images. I don't know how I do it, but I just see the situation. I'm like, no, 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 not today or not now, or yeah, like it's good, but not right now. Yeah,
mhm, mhm,
like my energy is not up to it right now. So yeah, questions are great, and I think whatever form we are lucky if we have a partner who will
mhm,
like there is a Bina, and she's quite a famous teacher in Ukraine, teacher of human design, and she was saying how they literally lived the experiment with her husband. They're both generators, and they were exactly doing this. They were just like asking sudden questions and
mhm.
and then getting all these surprise answers and like
Uh-huh,
and so what to do with it now, like they had real life situations, especially in a couple, in a family, and they were like,
uh-huh,
so what are you gonna do about it? You have seen your response. So
uh-huh.
this is so
Yeah,
cool. This is so cool.
yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah. And I'm with you. Because I don't have a partner, I did, and when I had one, I had to work to ask, to have questions asked, it was just not his deal. But the energy knows. I mean, I shared this yesterday too. I've purchased a car and I purchased a piece of furniture that my mind was having difficulty with. Like the car that I have now, when I went shopping for a car and I was test driving, and then I went back the second time, it was like probably the purchase day. I test three cars, I think, and I had in mind what I wanted to pay. My body kept going to this other car. Like, and it was one of those fun times when it's like, oh, the body is telling me what it wants. So there weren't, I don't know, somebody might have asked me a yes, no question, but I to your point, my experience is the body can move us to correct decisions, because it was, first of all, it was $100 more a month than I wanted to spend. And I went from a Prius, which is a gas saver, to a RAV4 SUV with 6 cylinders, so a gas user, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
many objections here, but I
Yeah.
got it because I said, oh, this is what it wants. And I mean, the first couple of months I had it, I was like, oh, look at that gas, like I was very into that. But then
Yeah. Yeah.
I took my first road trip, and it was a month long, and it was the perfect car for the
Mm.
road trip. I've taken a lot of road trips, so I want to say yes. I think it can be both,
Can I tell?
and
Mm.
yeah, like right now, my head is filled with, should I move? When should I move? Where should I go? And I'm
Mm.
gonna see if I can find somebody to ask me some yes, no questions on it. It's because my mind has ideas, but I don't really know what's
That is
correct.
also about direction. That is also about the.
Exactly.
That is the thing you have to wait. That is the thing you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know this. Sometimes it takes months. It's like you already know that you're going to move. I know this exactly,
Uh-huh.
and you're like, the body is almost itching because it's already done with this place, but there is nothing happening that
Yeah.
tells you that you can open the door and go, and sometimes go where. So this is
Uh-huh.
the thing. And the mind will come with all this, like, ask these people, or maybe the people are
Mm.
gonna ask you. But then when the thing happens, when you actually on the move, you just see how perfect the geometry is, and
Mm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
you would know why you are moving there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the open G. The open G, I have never chosen my directions. I have never sat with a map and said I'll go here or there. I would return to directions that I already know. That's always like going back to my house, or going
Mm-hmm.
back to India, or going and specific locations that where I find myself. But on a big scale, all the new directions have always been, they always open with something.
Hmm.
They always open with something. There must be some event, even if we're not saying that somebody, but there must be some event.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have no questions, and you're like, I'm packing my bag tomorrow. I'm moving, like, you know the date and you know that it's right.
Uh-huh.
But when it didn't come, that's all your mind does. The mind of the open G, where are we going? Are we going tomorrow? Why are you
Yeah,
still not
exactly. It's my mind.
going?
That's why,
Why
yes.
you're still not going?
Uh-huh.
Exactly. That's, well,
And
where is
one of
my
the options,
direction? Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah.
So okay if
Yeah.
I say something? I've
Yeah.
interrupted you.
Yeah. 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 I'm done.
And one of the options is I'm going nowhere right now. And that seems to be the truth, right? But and then along that, I took a road trip back in April to the southeast because it was suggested that could be a good place for me to live and for my design.
Mhm.
Um, and I went, and I had a possible response to the last place I was, which is only like 4 hours from here. Um, but now what's going on in the southeast of the United States with the hurricanes,
Okay.
it's in the areas where I was looking.
Mhm.
And it's not the first time my lack of response has saved me from some kind of a condition like that. And that's the thing too, right? We don't know until it's like, oh,
Exactly.
thank you, body. Thank you.
Exactly. And I have just had, in Ukraine, there has been this situation where people were forced to relocate, because if you have
Mm,
rockets flying throughout your street every day, you realize that you have to move. Some people have actually a situation when they have to go. So there was a lot of these discussions, where should we go, because also the doors have been open, like, Ukrainians can go to Europe. We can go to so many places. There are so many programs that will expect to accept you. And there was this story. I was coaching and guiding two girls, and it was exactly in the first year of the war, and they were very concerned exactly with the choices they had to make in that very moment, also for them, for their children. And one of them, she found a refuge in Israel. And everybody was saying, this is such a perfect place, they will, you get all the support. So she stayed there for like 2 months. And she left and she came back to Ukraine and she said, I don't know why, but I feel safer here.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, like all her family was opposed her and blah, blah, blah. And then when what has started in Israel has started,
Yes.
all the family closed their mouths because right now the part of Ukraine that she lives is, I mean, things can happen there any day, but at least when the things happened there, and she most probably could be exactly in the area where it happened. So later we often see why there was no response, why we didn't go exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, I guess I'll say I appreciated let's see what's the right word. Almost the word that's coming to mind is rigidness, but the dedication, I think that's a better word, to hearing the sound of response. Like there's a value to that. But I also know my first reading was October 15th, 2009. So I was introduced to human design the year before, but that was the first, no, I've had a reading. And I still have that recording, and I was already ahhing. I could hear it. So it's just there. That was the other thing, is sometimes we can respond to statements. We don't always have to respond to questions. Things can be said, and I mean, I've heard it from myself, I've heard it from others, like, but that's just one's personal truth, not that what the other person said isn't valid for them, let's say.
Yeah.
But the idea is that, yes, we can respond at all times, sometimes with sound. And I can feel a no in my body. I can feel the resistance in my body.
Yeah. And sometimes we feel that I don't know.
A lot of the time.
Yeah, sometimes maybe it's like, ask me tomorrow and this is what I do. Like I'm like, I have a general feeling, but I like either I think the solution is not yet in life. And I think that's when the question is like, it should happen in a week or maybe two. There is no way for my body to really sense the situation. It is not presented to me. So when the question is more mental or it's a little bit about the future, I will have to get there so that my body will like, oh yeah, I know, now I know. So whenever I worry in advance, that's when my body most probably is gonna tell me, I don't know how to respond to this. I don't know. I can feel it or something. Yeah.
I appreciate that, worrying in advance. The mind really enjoys that a lot. Worrying about in advance. Yeah, I'm just listening to you, and it's like, yeah, at this moment in time, there is nowhere for me to go. I don't know. There's no, I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm here. I still have stuff to do where I am, as it turns
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and this is a very general truth. When you don't know where to go, don't move. Don't start driving around. Don't move.
Right.
Stay there where you are. It's always a good guidance.
This is similar but different. I had found an old piece. I don't think it's what you sent me. It was some excerpt from an OpenG article that I grabbed years ago. I'm gonna look and see if there's something maybe. How do you know when you're it's in the wrong place? That's a really fun question.
How do you know when it's in there? For
The
me,
wrong, go ahead.
yeah, for me, so this is what I also tell all my open Gs who come to me for reading. I do really say, when you have a job interview, when you meet new people in your life, when there is some kind of meeting, pay extra attention, not only the circumstances that you actually meet this person, but the place.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm,
place where they invited you, the place where you come to meet them. It is sometimes I do this also when I know what I have to discuss, and I know what I have to do. I'll maybe even say my place. I mean, my place, like the place that I know where I'm comfortable. So I do it easier for myself. But if this happens, that life happens, and then I come
mm-hmm,
to this place, and before I open my mouth or the person opens their mouth, I already can see where they brought me and how does this place resonate with me.
mm-hmm,
So sometimes I walk in and I'm already uncomfortable. And let's not get into like really physical details, because we all have different designs, we have
uh-huh,
different environments, we have
mm-hmm,
different bodies.
mm-hmm.
So for some people it's the sound, for some people it's the
Thank,
amount.
thank you. Because I was thinking the first thing my
Yeah.
body does,
For some
which,
people it's the smell. They're gonna walk in there and they don't like the
uh-huh,
smell. For me
me,
it's for me it's very geometric. If I am comfortable to see it, how this place feels geometrically to me, the music. So I have so
mm-hmm,
many signs with the music. Always when it's, let's say, the right moment, the right people, the right place. I don't know where these songs come from. Exactly the songs that make me comfortable. So this is exactly like I walk in and I already feel how my body feels in this environment. Do I want to stay here? Because some places when I walk in, they can be beautiful, they can be expensive, but my body wants to walk out, or wants to go in the corner, or wants to
mm-hmm,
outside and feel as I keep myself there because I need to say hello. I need to have some kind of conversation, and I observe the tension in
mm-hmm,
my body. Also, as I respond to this person, but I have not had it not matching. So it usually it's usually 100% match. My response to the place normally equals to what relationship this person has to me, whether it's important contact, valuable contact that is going to be close, contact that is bringing something valuable to my life, or just a random chat
mm-hmm,
that will bring nothing but just like a bit of a new information, and will give me an again experience of how I don't respond or don't resonate to something.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Place and cafes and the smell. So I got at some point in the past, I charted it. Okay. I didn't recognize this until does it smell good? That is the first thing for me because my cognition is smell. And then sound, which is about the music or the volume of sound in a place for me. And then the third thing is, can I get a position with my back against the wall? So that's the cave piece. And so I actually watched myself in a cafe once have to like walk in. It was a place I liked. I already had a good positive feeling about it, but there were no tables on the perimeter. So I sat in a middle table and my body was like this.
I know that. I don't like.
And I also was going to work on a video. I think I was planning to do some video editing. And then a table opened up or something opened up, and a man at a side table asked me if I would like to join him so then I could plug my laptop in. And so I went over there,
Mhm.
and no more than 5 minutes later, another table opened up against the wall. with an outlet, and I immediately got up and
Flew over
that's
there.
like, you know, my response, like that little generator, like, I'm going where it's healthy for me. Went over there and I had my back against the wall. I was plugged in and
Yeah,
I,
exactly. That's the feeling I have when I'm in the right place geometrically. I can stay there for hours and I will not lose energy.
uh-huh.
Like when I travel and then I have to stay like long time in the airport, that's what I do. I go and search for that perfect place where I will stay for hours and I will not
Uh-huh.
lose my energy and where I'm comfortable. And then I even don't feel the I don't feel the waiting because I'm just in the right place and I'm
Mhm.
already doing my stuff and I'm like super comfortable.
Yeah, and you know, the thing that I want to say is it sounds like it's mental, but it's not. It's literally you know, the body was doing these things. And the mind is like, well, people are watching you, you know.
Uh,
But I've gotten to the place I don't care because, and even people who know me well are like, is this a good place for you? Like there, you know, I have had a couple of people in my life who know about this about me, even if they don't even know the mechanics. And is this a good place to sit?
yeah. And what I wanted to say also is right people bring us to the right places. So pay
Hmm.
attention. Maybe it's not a very close contact, but maybe this person keeps pointing out to you the right places. And then at this moment, this is the correct person to you. And I want to talk a little bit more about this indicator. So, as I had my friendships, and I noticed that this is the right person for me at this time, and I give this confirmations, yeah, that this person helps me to find places in space, like literally gives me good directions.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then we have this, let's say, friendship for years, and then just something starts to be off. Maybe we
Hmm.
don't see each other anymore. I don't respond to see this person as often. And then couple of last directions that they give me, I start to notice they're completely off. So this is how I also want to say to the OpenG people that this is what happens.
Uh-huh.
Correct people and correct places are not forever. So
Uh-huh.
our geometry, we are synchronized, I think, with some other big geometry. So as you are drifting or migrating or taking, you are getting from one dot to another. And so this is just normal. It's not forever that this is the right person for you forever, takes you to the right forever places. No. And just be, this is where your um authority, yeah, when it comes in, when you stop responding to these places, when you stop responding to these people, they stop being correct for you.
Uh-huh. And it's uncomfortable, would you say at a moment? There's a moment of
Yeah.
discomfort?
Oh yes, because you're already like, this is the mind thing. I think you're already attached, so you already feel safe that this is the person who gives you the right direction and everything is, everything is good.
Uh-huh.
And then you're like, oh, this is the wrong place and this is again the wrong, and this starts feel this is not me. And
Mhm.
and you're like, oh, things are changing. I'm changing a geometry. I'm being taken to somewhere else. I don't know what is right. So now I know this is not right, but I don't yet know where is that next right person or the right place. And then you have to hang in there, trusting your
Uh-huh.
life,
Uh-huh.
responding moment to moment. And this is the life of an open G.
Uh-huh. It's great. You just thank you for that. Was ow. The cat was on my lap. And no, she's not. It's what you said is beautifully aligned with what I pulled up. You know, I like, oh my goodness, that's right. But everything changes and the body will tell you when it's time for a change.
Yes.
Your love will change, people will change, and basically, I mean, I guess we're back to talking about the open G. I just want to acknowledge that. And if we'll swing back to the solar plexus or not in this conversation, you know, what you love may no longer be the love, and really the, you know, the trajectory of somebody with an open G, undefined G is sampling, and
Yeah.
it's to collect experience. You know, it's that, again, if we think of any of the open centers, they are where we're collecting, you know, we're, first of all, we have to clean our crap out, but secondly, it's where the wisdom lies. It's where the education about life lies. And obviously we've done personally a lot of investigating into this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People come to us to ask about places in the end of the day, because
Mm.
our experience is also very unique. We normally pay attention to places a little bit more. We observe how we feel about. We become place experts. Yes, of course, we don't know all the places in the world, but I also noticed that people will come and ask me about places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, when I was doing the reading, they told me that the geometry of my room
Mm-hmm.
is important, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, yes. Since I've been a little girl, I was changing the things in my room to
Mm-hmm.
suit me. I wanted certain geometry, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But in my case, it's countries or cities or
Mm-hmm.
towns or places. It has been a vast geography. And what was interesting when I was a flight, like it's just coming right now to me. So when I was a flight attendant, which has been for about maybe 2 years, but it was international, and I used to go from like literally country to was my first awareness. I didn't know any human design back then. And
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised how I resonate with a place or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I started asking other people about it because I was flying with other members of crew, and I was like, I was surprised that they are not as sensitive, or they cannot describe it as I describe it. But there were locations where I was like, how does it feel so correct for me to be here? I want to come back here again and again. I don't even feel this place as a strange place. I come here and I'm already walking around comfortably. In some places I come in and I'm like, I cannot even get out of the hotel, or everything feels uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
Had nothing to do with my cultural background, because I've been Asia, Europe, you name it. So there was no mental or logical explanation. It was all kind of countries and all kind of cultures. In
Mm-hmm.
some places, humidity felt right, and in some places humidity felt
Mm-hmm.
awfully wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
even, yeah,
Sorry.
it was, yeah, it wasn't like in some places that was so terribly cold, and in some places when I came there it was actually cold and it was like super comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so interesting.
Those subtleties, and that's, you know, I even, you know, I was encouraged to go look in the Southwest and to, in a way, put aside the culture, like, because there are cultural differences there compared to, I'll say, what my, well, certainly where I grew up and spent many years, most of my life. You know, but like, to put that aside, and it's that just reminded me, it does tells on something that I just recently read too, where Ra was saying, you know, it's about the body's comfort. The personality is actually, you know, the personality would prefer like-minded people.
Mhm.
But I did, so I went with that open, you know, openness. But again, my body just didn't have a response to move. So um yeah. And I'm in a place where culturally it's a mismatch, like where I am geography, not in the house specifically, but geography. But I'm here. And that's the other thing. We can say wrong place, but wherever you are is where you are. That's, you know, this is, again, where am I supposed to be somewhere else? Nope.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Mhm.
But I get to
moment.
sample, I get to see, I get to like experience, like, oh, there are people that actually have this values. That's tripping me out, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to go back to with the solar plexus today, or does that feel like another day?
Solar plexus, there is always there is a lot to. So I okay, there was one observation that I mentioned to you as well, but I will unfold it again. So okay. So I'm open emotionally, and when I have relationships or I start having friendships, because I think this is a pattern already that we go and we look at the design, right? So
Mhm.
one of the first things I started checking is this person emotionally defined or emotionally open, because I know this is, and I sometimes I don't even need to check the design. I already start feeling, are they charging me with their emotions or not?
Mhm. Mhm.
So as a natural, let's call it self-defense system, in some years already, it was my idea of not dealing. I have emotional mother, so I had a lot of emotional people around me. So at some point I said, you know what? I want to make it. I know I'm not having that many choices and things happen, but something inside of me was like, let's not deal with this all emotional stuff if we can. So
Mhm.
my preferences were like, I would be happy to see if my partner or my friend are not emotional, so we don't have this emotional charge in between us, and I don't have to constantly digest the emotions of the other person. So this was my general tendency. And this is what has shifted, and this is what has changed. Of course, if the other person, this is also the theory of the human design, if the other person is healthy and they're living and they learned already to recognize their emotional wave, and if they're healthy, you are actually is going to feel more stable. If
Mhm.
if they're cruising really nicely in their emotional ways, you're going to actually feel it as a certain stability. There are less surprises, but I think it's very rare to meet this kind of people. Yeah, so
Mhm.
there is a lot of emotional bumps. So what I noticed recently that I have changed. I don't prefer anymore to have open emotional people around me, because I noticed that they have the same self defense mechanism as I do. So ignoring the feelings, not confronting, avoiding confrontation and truth, not discussing the feelings and emotions, pretending that it's not there. And sometimes the elephant in the room is really huge. And you're like, you're trying to let that, like, really, we're not going to talk about this. You're feeling nothing. And you realize that's their self-defense system is keeping them protected. And that's what happens. So my experience, really my experience, is that I had an experience with an emotional person this time, in even that there was some emotional charge, of course, but I was able to digest, to confront, like, let's say, to digest, to go through this emotion, to filter, to sit on it, and to get some clarity. So I stopped, like, this pattern that I have always been avoiding. I don't like avoiding confrontation and truth, avoiding confrontation and truth. This stopped happening, and I was like, oh, so I can actually look at the emotions, I can filter them, and there is something I can see in the end. So this was my biggest revelation with this whole emotional process recently.
Would you would you would it be fair to say that I mean, I don't know if it was mental, I'm not going to do that in the past. Was it mental in the past that I'm not going to, or was that your
Of
body?
course,
No,
no.
no, like right now, no.
I had an experience. So my experience was, let's also be honest, the childhood impacts us. So dealing with the emotions of my mom and maybe a couple other people just gave me enough experience that it can be painful.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I feel better when I don't go through this.
Mhm.
And yes, I think the self-defense and the not self strategies, they are from the mind. So yeah, I think I have decided it has worked for me that way, and it was a mental strategy. Absolutely.
Uh-huh. And you know, and I still will revert to in any moment our inner authority says whether, you know, confront or not. But I hear that you've kind of stopped putting that wall up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also want to say I know a couple of emotionally defined people who deny their emotions.
Oh
So
yeah.
they know they are the ones. Like yeah, it's like you're the emotional one. Why am I feeling all this crap? And what I was told is because I'm the person that's picking it up, even if they're not aware of it.
Yes.
So I don't I guess I want to be cautioned about blanket statements of unemotional people don't confront and emotional people do because it's not always
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
not 100% because everything can be distorted and this is an experiment. It's you know it's a what's happening today experiment.
Yeah. And I have seen enough
You
emotion.
agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to say here that there are a lot of emotional people that I met, I gave readings to. They didn't know about emotional, or they didn't know the definition of the emotional wave, and they have done a lot of practices, including meditation, in
Mhm.
order to stay like this.
Uh-huh,
This
uh-huh,
is what they wanted this.
uh-huh.
So they were attracted to meditation because sometimes in this meditation process, whatever, they go to that zen, and they want to keep it forever.
Uh-huh. I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that because I've had, you know, I've thought that.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like it's again, and it's not even their problem fault either, right? They
Yeah.
probably deem too much. It's uncomfortable
Yeah.
to them. Um,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, instead of riding their own wave.
Yeah. And embracing their own wave also takes
Yeah,
a lot of awareness.
it does.
Embracing the wave. Yeah.
Yeah, and depression and all that. Yeah, I was thinking of one of my coaching clients who I worked with for about 7 years, and it's, you know, I brought in human design when it was, you know, when I saw something it was correct, and um, I don't remember if I'd asked him for a testimonial or how he shared this with me, but he said of all of the tools that you've given me, learning to trust my feelings about things was the greatest one because it, you know, in this case, it took him 2 years to hire a new
Yeah.
person because he
Yeah.
was he got, you know, it's like, am I too picky? And it's like, no, you haven't found that person. So he was able to lean in to that impatience in a way, right? Because that's one of the that's one of the challenges for people with solar plexus definition is waiting. And you know, they
Yeah.
want I mean, I've watched it, it's fascinating. I want to be spontaneous. It's like, well, that's
I
just
want
not
to be
me.
spontaneous. Yeah. Hmm. Exactly. It takes at least 1 year. This is what I tell to everybody who comes to me for a reading who has defined. So I say it will take you at least 1 year to see, to watch your emotion, to get into this process. So
Mhm.
absolutely, even if you don't understand, you cannot touch it of what we are talking now, but at least I am helping you to start touching it, looking into it, and you will come and tell me, because I always say I have no idea about
Uh-huh.
emotional waves. So
Yeah.
that's your job. You have to come and tell me how it feels to you.
Yeah.
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 Hmm. That was
Well,
nice.
what?
That was a nice one today.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I need I'm gonna so I think we're done for now for
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So
Open
next
G and open
open
solar
G,
plexus
almost
together.
open, and yep, that was it for today.